Welcome back to America Tonight with me, Kate Delaney, coast to coast, and all those nooks and crannies in between. Foreclosures, it's something that people can relate to across the board. Depending on where you live, foreclosures might be up. I'm wondering if you're searching for a foreclosure. When I was first looking for a house, I was looking for a foreclosure, although I knew nothing about foreclosures. And twice the house that I was after was right, just right under my feet. They snuck it out, and it was investors that ended up getting the houses. And who knows what I would have had to pump into it. That's the other part of it. So foreclosure expert George Roddy Sr. joins us now. George, foreclosures, are they up? I was just looking at some statistics earlier in the day. Are they up across the board in Texas and elsewhere, or are we starting to see that a lot of them are falling off the market?
Kate, in most states, what we're seeing and hearing is that foreclosures are still high. They have kind of tempered off in the last 2 to 3 months in some states. So some states are in better shape than others. Texas, on the other hand, has kind of been up and down, and foreclosures, while they're still extremely high, and certainly they're unhealthily high, the fact is that it's kind of you're looking at a economy that the sales of homes is basically being able to take care of the number of foreclosures that are occurring. So the market is strong enough in Texas, in most areas of Texas, to handle the existing foreclosures. Now, that is not to say that the foreclosures are going to remain at current levels. In fact, we have seen an upward tick in the numbers in the last 3 months. So we expect that the foreclosure market in Texas is going to be strong through the end of this year.
When you're looking for homes and you decide, geez, I really want a foreclosure, I've been watching HGTV, I feel like an expert, I want to put my own stamp on it, I'm sure there's some cautionary things here. What are some things, George, that people need to think about before they dive into the foreclosure market?
Well, you have to be very, very careful when you're buying foreclosures, and different states have different rules. In Texas, it can be very complicated, and you can make mistakes that'll basically ruin your day. So in Texas, we have a one foreclosure sale per month. And so what you have to do is get the list of foreclosures that are going to occur on the first Tuesday of any given month. And that's when they're sold at the courthouse steps. And basically, you have to do your research and homework on those properties that you're interested in before you even step foot on the courthouse steps to bid. The other thing about Texas is when you're bidding, you're going to have to pay for that property as soon as you make the bid. So if you bid $250,000 on a property, the representatives of the lenders do not take. The only thing they do take is cashier's checks. So you're basically paying cash, and if you make a bad mistake, it's too late for you.
Oh, yeah, so that's definitely something to think about there. And then, of course, once let's say you do it and you get in, the other part of it is you would have to have some sort of strategy, I would imagine, because how much are you going to have to put into it? How much money are you going to dump into the foreclosure? It might have seemed like a nicer house. It might have cost you a bundle. I mean, what's the average of what money is that you have to put in to fix it up?
Well, in most cases, you are going to have to fix it up, and it's going to require what we call paint and carpet. So paint and carpet, as well as any structural issues, could be forthcoming once you buy the property. The problem in Texas is you can't get that property inspected before you buy it. So you're buying a property most of the time without even seeing the inside of the property.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to be prepared to spend at least $10 to $15 per square foot to fix that property up once you buy it.
Yeah. Do you find that I mentioned that investors twice swooped in places that I was looking at, and Do you find that investors, that's the key because of the money that they may have to put up into it and because they want to flip and sell it? That used to be very popular you find a good place and a good location. It needs work, but then you can turn it around, flip it, sell it and make a profit. Is that still pretty popular?
It is still popular and probably, and again, it's localized. So in some states, the rental market is not as good as other states. In Texas, the rental market is excellent right now, so for that reason, a lot of investors have switched from the flipping of the properties to buy and hold and just rental.
Yeah. Do you find that sometimes people, because it's sad for whatever the circumstances are, they lost a property, do they go the extra mile to sometimes destroy things in the house when they're leaving? Is that a common problem still?
It's very common. There was instances where one of our customers bought a house and somebody drilled a hole in the sheetrock and put in garbage and dead animals and things like that. There's concrete in the toilets. It can be kind of a tough deal.
Yeah, and see, again, as you said, you don't know about that. Like, your clients had no idea, I'm sure, about the sheetrock had the hole in it and the trash and the animals. And then all you can do is clean it out and get it taken care of. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. And I was looking at some numbers, and there's a thing, and you know it, Really Track, and that's a foreclosure listing service, and you talk about the list to get the lists and stuff. And they say 26% of homes sold in the first quarter of 2012 were foreclosed properties. That's a huge increase from last year. So it still is popular, whether it's somebody getting it and feeling like they can take the gamble, or if it's an investor that's trying to flip it. Foreclosures are still, I guess, I don't know if I would use the word hot, but if you were to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, and this is your area, George, what would you say? 10 being the highest, that there's still a lot of interest.
Oh, I'd say that the interest is continuing to increase as more and more people become familiar with the foreclosure process. So I'd rate it up at an 8 or a 9. It's very hot in Texas.
Yeah. How did you decide to specialize? How did you decide to specialize in foreclosures?
Well, it was kind of a thing where we are in the information business, and I had the opportunity to buy a company 15, 20 years ago that did this, and so we knew that it was going to be an up-and-coming market that would be acceptable, that we could take a chance on, and we figured that at some point the foreclosures were going to be going up simply because of the way the loans were going, the lending practices. So, right now we're in a good time, and probably we've been asked a lot of times, when is it going to end? And probably the level of foreclosures is really not going to drop that much because there are just so many still of the problem loans out there.
Yeah. And when you find it, and because I said obviously there's all different kinds of people that are getting foreclosures, investors, couples, single people. Is there a demographic or no? Because I just kind of said it. It seems to be a grab bag. Do you find with customers or people that approach you, it's all different kinds of people?
Oh, it is. And more of people buying their first home are very interested in foreclosures because of the kind of deal that they can make. You got to remember that if you're buying a home to live in, you don't have to get a huge bargain. You don't have to pay 60 cents on the dollar or 50 cents on the dollar to come out. You're going to be living in that house, so you could afford to pay 70 or 75 cents on the dollar, and those are very prevalent.
Yeah. What about when I was thinking about this with in Texas they had horrible hailstorms. Sometimes do you find that if there's obvious damage, you might get a bargain in the foreclosure department?
Well, you're not going to buy the property unless you're going to get a bargain. And if you look at one of the bigger counties in this area, Dallas County, for instance, if you take the amount of money paid for a house on the average, it's basically 67 cents on the dollar. So you're going to get that kind of deal And if you don't, then you may wish you did, because, as I said, when you buy the property, you know you're going to have to put money into it, so you have to buy it as low as you can. So for that reason, that's why the averages are what they are.
Yeah. George Roddy, Sr., thanks so much, foreclosure expert. We'd love to have you on again. It's always fun to kick that around. Thanks, George.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.